Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be doing a little bit of work with our hamstrings today and our hips. You might like to have a couple of yoga blocks if you have them. If not, 2 cans of soup will work, a couple of water bottles, a couple of sturdy books that you can just put your hands on to get your hands a little higher away from the floor, especially if you have tighter hips or hamstrings. That will be quite helpful. You don't have to use them, but it's nice to have them and not be scrambling for them. So if you'd like, go ahead and grab some props and then come to sit cross-legged with me. You want to have some space out on either side of your mat. So if, like me, your mat is close to the wall, you might sit facing the long edge of your mat to start, because we're going to do a couple of wide-legged things to begin with. And set your blocks or your props just out to the side where you can still reach them, because you might want them. And then cross your right foot in front of your left. Feel free to sit up onto a block or any other prop that makes sitting on the floor more comfortable for you. Find your sits bones underneath you. You can rock a little bit so you feel them touching the floor. And then let them just kind of melt and connect as if you were welding your sits bones to the floor. You want them to be really nice and close. Let your shoulders be a little bit heavy. And then as you take a deep breath in, lift from that seat, from that welding of the sits bones to the floor, reaching the crown of your head up, but keep the buttocks down. Inhale. And as you exhale, keep that tall posture, but relax your shoulders. Inhale, reach your arms up over your head. As you exhale, twist over to your right, bringing your right hand down, maybe bringing your left hand behind you. We're going to stay here for a few breaths, working to relax the shoulders and reconnect both of the sits bones to the floor. Chances are your left sit bone might have lifted up a little bit here, and you want to just release it back down. Reconnect to the floor. And this is not the deepest twist in the world. Just enough for you to feel some stretchiness around your spine. You don't need to be pulling yourself over to the side. More important that you have that strong base. As you inhale, you're going to come back to center, lift your arms up. As you exhale, you're going to fold forward, placing your fingertips in front of you. If the floor feels far away, feel free to grab your props and put them in front of you here. You can walk your hands as far away, as wide, or as close set as feels supportive to you. I like to move a little bit side to side, but that is just my preference. It's totally optional. You could be quite still here if you like. Maybe feeling a little stretch around the outside of your hips. Maybe a big stretch around the outside of your hips. Take another breath here. Walk your fingertips back in towards you. Roll your shoulders away from your ears. Stretch your right leg out to the side. Feel free to place a prop underneath the bent knee or underneath, well, actually, both knees might be bent in this scenario. Prop underneath your right knee or your left knee or both. Of course, you can still be sitting up a little higher here. All right, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but with this leg extended. So reach your arms up as you breathe in. As you breathe out, twist again to your right. Both sits bones work to stay glued to the floor. Find that stretch. Relax your shoulders a little bit. As you inhale, come back to the center line. Lift your arms up. As you exhale, you're going to fold forward again. You may notice that the stretch has kind of found a new place to sit. For me now, I'm getting quite a lot of inner thigh, a little bit of hamstring here at the back. And again, you can move or you can be totally still. Just 100% up to what feels good to your body today. Feel free to use your props in any way that helps you. We're going to add on a little bit here. Lift yourself up a couple of inches so you have a bit more mobility, and then walk your hands over towards your right foot and just go as far as you need to go to feel a new type of stretch, maybe now along here on the left side, along the back. Maybe this transfers a bit more to the back of your leg. Feel free to bend your right knee if you need to. If you like, you can go all the way to framing that right foot with the hands. You could use blocks here underneath them. Relax your shoulders. Both sits bones are still on the floor. You're not lifting up your left hip in an effort to get over here. Enjoy this stretch. All right. Adding on just one more thing. You're going to put your right hand on top of your right leg or in front of your right leg. You may like to use a prop underneath, and you're going to lift your left arm up. And you just reach this right hand as far out as feels good. It might be on your thigh, it might be on your foot, it doesn't really matter. And then you work to turn your chest upwards. So it's like you're turning your heart. If your heart was a little flashlight, it's shining up as much as possible towards the place where the wall meets the ceiling in front of you. You can look up if it feels good. Relax your shoulders and your jaw. Inhale, come all the way back up, and I lied because I decided to add one more thing here. If you have a sensitive knee on the left side, you might fold your mat under a little hip or put a little blanket, because you're going to bring your left hand kind of back diagonally from your left hip, place it on the floor, push into your hips, and maybe see if you can lift them up as you sweep your right arm up over your head. A little modification of wild thing. If you run into the wall, you can even press into it. Shrug your left shoulder blade down and connect it onto your back, so you're not like letting your shoulder wing out here. It's tucked under, it's strong. Maybe stay for another breath. And then set your hips down. Gather your right leg in. Cross your left foot in front of your right. If you need to shake things out, please do. And we're going to take that whole thing over to the other side. So take a moment. Get your sits bones underneath you again. Feel both of them. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, relax your shoulders. Inhale, lift your arms up over your head. Exhale, twist over to your left. You can drop the left hand behind you. You can use the right hand somewhere on the leg, but you're not torquing over to the side. If you feel like you're doing the abdominal crunch, you're working way too hard. You just kind of move gently over, and you think not so much about how far can I twist, but how grounded, how relaxed can I make my right hip in this position? As you inhale, come back to the center line. Reach your arms up. As you exhale, you fold forward. And you may already notice that you're a little bit looser here on the second side. It might be a little easier to come forward. Again, still feel free to use your props in any way that works for your body. Maybe you notice the difference in where you feel the stretch on the left hip as opposed to the right hip. Even though this is the second side, so I'm a little bit looser, I can tell my right hip is a lot tighter today because I feel a lot of stretch going on around the area of my right glute and down into the back of my thigh, into my hamstrings already. Let's take another breath here. And then walk the fingertips in. Now we're going to stretch the left leg out to the side again. You might like to put props either underneath the extended or the bent in knee or both. Find your sits bones. Lift your arms up as you breathe in. As you breathe out, you find that twist to the left. Relaxing the left sit bone down. Oh, Mr. Kitty. Relaxing the shoulders. As you inhale, come back to the center. Arms come up. As you exhale, you fold forward. Maybe you have a living prop to help you, maybe not. And again, maybe you move a little bit. Maybe you find that perfect spot. Just notice where the stretch kind of moves to. Now that you've just adjusted your position a little bit, it can change the entire perception of what is happening in your body. Makes it quite different. Let's take another breath here. And then we start to add on, moving towards the back of the leg perhaps. You'll walk your fingertips over towards your left foot, and you don't have to go very far. It might just be a few inches if this is a particularly tight area in your body, or several particularly tight areas in your body. You can go all the way and frame your left leg with your fingertips if you want to, if it feels good. You might start to get some stuff now around the top of your pelvis, around your hip bones. One more add on. The right hand is on top of the right leg or in front of the right leg. And then you get to lift your right arm over your head. Your left arm is down, your right arm is up, if I got confused there. Oh, you're so strong. When you feel that side stretch again, you're working to turn your heart up and out so that you feel this whole rotation. Maybe you feel some stuff in your rib cage here on the right side. Looking up might feel nice, and you can do that, but you can also look down. And take another deep breath here. And then inhale to come all the way up. Bring your feet in. You're going to put the soles of your feet on the floor in front of you. And then, again, kind of just move from sits bone to sits bone a little bit. And bring your hands a little bit back behind you, widen your feet, excuse me. And then we're going to sway our knees from side to side. Just one side, other side. Keep lifting your chest up. You can even squeeze your shoulder blades together here. I just realized I forgot our little lift on the left side, so we'll go back there in a moment here. Someone might have been distracting me with his affections. Let's go once more to each side here. And then as you go over to the left, extend that left leg out again. Fold the right foot in, and we'll go into our little modified wild thing again. If you want to cushion your knee, please do. And then bring your right hand back diagonally behind your right hip. Lift your arms up. Push your hips forward. Sorry, kitty. And open your chest. And again, it's like your chest is now revolving up towards the ceiling here in this little modified well thing. Like the whole front of your body should just feel a nice, juicy stretch. Shrug your right shoulder blade down your back. Let it be connected. And then as you're ready, sit all the way down. Draw the soles of your feet, and we're going to go back to that wiggling side to side because there's one more thing that I want to add. So put your feet a nice wide distance apart. Hands comfortably behind you. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and go a little side to side. Yes. You can keep going side to side. Apparently I've been told that there's no more side to side without cat. So side to side as you can go. And then somebody's not going to like this, but the next time that you go over to your right, what you're going to do is you're going to keep dropping your hands, your legs down, and then you're going to see if you can rock up, lift your left hand all the way up, and then maybe, just maybe, I kind of have to bring my foot a little in here because I can tell it's a little too far out. You can see if you can lift up and stand on your knees. Feel free to put cushions underneath. If that's too much, just come all the way here and lift your arm up, because you're already getting this nice kind of pelvis stretch. You can kind of dip your, this is your left hip a little bit forward. Trying that over to the other side. So you go all the way over to the left, And you lift the hand up, and you can use your hands for a little push, up. See if that works. If not, stay seated on the floor, and we'll do 2 or 3 more on each side. So you go over to one side. You can even try doing it totally without hands. Lift yourself up. You'll feel a little bit of work already in your hips. And over to the other side, feel free to adjust your placement so your knees end up on your mat, or to put blankets around yourself. As we do a few more, even if you only do 1 or 2 of each, that's totally fine. I'm just going to keep going because I've got a pretty good situation here for my knees. Maybe once more on each side. When you're done, come back to the center line, extend your legs out in front of you. Give them a little shake, give them a little wiggle. Wiggle out your toes, and then come around to your table pose. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Shrug your shoulders back. Inhale, bend your elbows, dip your belly, roll your shoulders back, and lift your chest. As you lift your chest, you can straighten your elbows a little bit, come through your cow pose. As you exhale again, bend your elbows, tuck your tailbone down, lift your belly. As you lift your belly, you might straighten your elbows a little bit. So you're just dipping the elbows to get a little bit deeper into this cow pose as you inhale, and this cat pose as you exhale. And your elbows want to try to face behind you. So they're not bending to the side like a push-up. That's not going to hurt you, but you're trying to aim them straight forward and back, almost like you're doing a triceps push-up. Let's try one last set. And inhale, come all the way back to neutral. Make sure your fingers are spread nice and wide and your hands are under your shoulders. Tuck your right set of toes under, reach your right foot back, and then just rock a little bit forward and back. And it's fine if your shoulders come a little bit forward of your wrists here. You're in a nice supported position. So you can be stretching your wrists as you start to stretch your foot, your calf, and the back of your leg. And we're actually going to try to come to downward facing dog from here. So really ground those right foot toes down, rock back, press into all 10 of your fingertips. See if you can lift up, untuck your left toes, and place your left foot next to your right, coming to downward dog. Pedal your feet here for a moment. It's going to feel very unequal. The right side will feel a lot longer than the left side. Now this is going to seem counterintuitive, but you're going to lift your left foot up to the sky for a 3-legged dog. Keep your left knee bent at first. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, if it's right now, go ahead and lower your heel towards the earth. That's your right heel as you straighten your right leg. If you still need to keep the knee bent, don't worry. You just go until you feel a stretch at the back of the leg. And then drop the left leg down. Drop the knees down. Bend your elbows, inhale, cow. Bend your elbows, exhale, cat. Inhale, come back to neutral. Left toes are tucked and they slide back behind you. Right toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels good. And you rock forward and back, stretching a little bit. It's a nice stretch for the Achilles tendon. It's a lovely stretch for the arches of the feet. We don't stretch the arches of the feet and the kind of flanges, if you will, of the toes nearly enough. Really good stretch. And then we try to come from downward facing dog, or to downward facing dog from here. So we rock back a little bit. You think about maybe your left heel being above your left toes. Lift your right knee and just start to straighten the leg. Flip the toes over if you need to and step back. Pedal your feet. Maybe it's a little more equal now between the flexibility of right and left. And then you're going to lift your right leg. Keep your left leg bent. Inhale here. And then maybe you start to lower your left heel. Maybe you straighten your left leg. Go just to the state that you need to feel some action happening. Take a couple of breaths there. You don't mind if you have a little bit of openness in your right hip or if you like it closed. Just focusing on the back of the left leg. And then drop the right foot down. This time, inhale forward to plank, sliding your shoulders over the rest. You keep your knees up if you like, or drop them down with me. Shrug your shoulders back again. Bend your elbows back if you can to come to the floor. Untuck your toes, tuck your pelvis down. Lift up, find cobra, or potentially sphinx with the elbows under the shoulders. I'm going to take a sphinx today. Shrug your shoulders back, lift the center of your chest. Inhale. Exhale to release, hands under the shoulders, push back. Table pose. Tuck your toes under, and now lift to downward facing dog with both legs at the same time. Pedal the feet for a few breaths. And then today we're going to walk backwards, so we're going to walk the hands towards the feet. We're walking to the back of the mat. And we're coming to a forward fold back here at the back of the mat. And you want your knees to be nice and soft. This is a great place to grab your props and put them underneath your hands if your hamstrings are on the tighter side. And in fact, even if you feel like you don't need props, go ahead and grab them or put your hands on your shins. Keep your knees a little bent and see if you can find your spine being about parallel to the floor. Lift your low belly and reach the crown of your head forward. Find this action first, like you're creating a little table with your back. Your chin will need to be a little bit towards your chest so the back of your neck is nice and long. Shrug your shoulders back. Breathe in here. As you breathe out, press your heels towards the floor and just notice what happens. Just that small action of pressing your heels into the mat can already start to create stretch back there. If you need a little more, you can start to straighten your legs a little bit, or you can lower your hands down a little bit lower. And you might need to do both or one of those things if you're more flexible in this area. If you're quite tight in this area, you'll probably be able to stay quite high up. Just pressing into your heels, even with quite bent knees, you'll really feel the backs of the legs starting to stretch. If you have a lot of flexibility, maybe you have your hands on the floor to feel the stretch. Go to the point that you need to go to. Keep pressing the heels down and keep making the spine a long line. Even if you folded farther forward and your spine is no longer parallel to the earth, it's nice and long. It's not crunched or hunched or rounded. It's that neutral place between cow and cat. Let's take another breath. Neutral spine. And with an inhale, lift yourself up a little higher, maybe hands onto the thighs. Spine again parallel to the earth if it left that point. Inhale. As you exhale, fold forward again. Soften your knees even if you're really very flexible. Again, press into your heels. And then inhale, you're going to roll yourself one vertebrae at a time to the sky. Heavy arms, or arms can come out and up to the sides. Totally up to you what feels good. On an exhale, as you're ready, find your hands down by your sides. Move a little bit from foot to foot here as you come up to standing. Just rocking side to side. So that just like the sits bones, you feel your feet underneath you. You're connected to them. And then from there, once you feel both feet against the mat, you kind of are aware of them standing on the floor. Let your hands come down by your sides. Inhale, bring your arms over your head. As you exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. Balance on your left foot. So transfer your weight to your left foot. Lift your right heel up. As you transfer your weight to your left foot, tuck your left hip in. So you're not doing this. You're not standing with the heavy bag on your shoulder or holding the baby. You're standing straight and tall. So as your weight comes to the left, and I'm not your mirror here, so you can switch around. You'll be on the other side as your weight comes to your left. Now I'm your mirror. You tuck that hip in so you're straight and tall. You'll feel the whole kind of femur is more upright. So when you've got that, then you see if you can lift your right foot all the way up. You're going to extend it in front of you as far as you can. This is really difficult because you've got this long lever out in front of you. You'll really feel your abdominals. You may have to keep the knee bent. You might even hold underneath the thigh. See how it goes. Hold here. Relax your shoulders. Tuck your left hip in as you inhale, and then as lightly as possible, this may or may not go smoothly, you're going to step this right foot forward. Bend your front knee. Lift yourself up. You're in a crescent lunge. Open your arms up over your head. And it's okay if it's kind of a short crescent lunge. It doesn't really matter. If it's really, really long, you can always adjust later. Inhale here. As you exhale, you're going to straighten your front leg, rotate on the ball of your back foot, and drop the heel to the floor so you're in kind of a pyramid shape. If your hips, like mine, are facing to the left, you might walk your right foot a little further to the right and adjust the angle of your back foot so your hip bones are pointing a little more forward. You might like to grab your blocks and put them in front of you. Lift your arms up as you breathe in. As you breathe out, take your right hip back and fold forward, bringing your hands onto your hips. Your front knee may need to bend here. Totally fine. You bend it as much as you need to, because what I want is for your right hip to continually be moving back regardless of whether your knee is bent or not. not important. You start to feel the back of your right thigh. Maybe you leave your hands on your hips or on your upper leg. Maybe you come down to blocks or shin, or for some of us, even the floor. Same thing as in the Uttanasana, the forward fold. The spine is long, so whether you're up here higher and your spine is again roughly parallel to the earth, or you're able to fold further forward, you're not rounding or hunching. Think of finding that place in the middle of cow and cat again. And when you're in the middle of cow and cat, your shoulders aren't hunched forward either. They're moving back. Find the stretch. Let's take a couple of deep breaths. All right, this is where this is going to get slightly funky, just for fun, because why not? What you're going to do is you're going to bend your right knee. It's over the right ankle. You might like to move your blocks or your fingertips a little bit in front of you, because you're going to lift your back heel up, turn your back foot straight forward and back, and you're going to step your left foot up, maybe hip-ish or slightly wider distance apart from your right foot. You're going to bend your knees, and you're going to come into your Utkatasana, your chair pose. Feel free to put your blocks in front of your feet here as you come back, and it's totally fine to keep your hands balanced on the blocks or on the legs for this whole thing. I'm going to turn to face you, just because I think it's easier to see. You don't need to turn. So you're here in this Utkatasana shape. Shrug your shoulders back. Press into your heels, but keep lowering your hips back towards the floor so you feel the thighs beginning to work. If you like, you're welcome to peel yourself up and put your hands on your thighs out in front of your shoulders or up by your ears, but it's totally not necessary for today's class. We're focusing on the legs. You can stay low and just enjoy that leg work. Keep pressing into your heels and keep taking your butt a little bit back behind you. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, and you can sit really deep here. You might even have your thighs almost parallel to the floor if that's something that feels comfortable in your body. Feel free to take your feet wider if that makes you feel more stable. I once had a teacher who described doing Utkatasana with the toes together like this. It's very demure. It's very polite. This is not a polite Utkatasana. This is a big, fierce sumo wrestler squat here. You want it to feel hot and energetic, and you want to be able to sit back and feel powerful, not dainty. So take a couple more breaths here. You may decide that you need some support as you stay. Keep moving the hips back and down, even if it's only in the imagination, because chances are your thighs are getting tired and they want to come up, so you're going to resist that. You're going to keep moving down and back and press into the heels. All right. From here, you're going to just straighten your legs a little bit and start to fold forward. Now you're back in Uttanasana. You can step your feet a little closer together if you took them really wide for that Utkatasana, if that's more comfortable for you. And again, you might be quite high up on blocks, or you might be quite low. Now you're working into the stretchy sensation, so let your jaw again relax. Take a few breaths. All right, I'm going to switch back because I think, again, it's easier to see when I'm facing straight forward. So we should all be facing in the same orientation towards the front of our mat, standing roughly in the middle of the mat, but anywhere kind of in the forward third or half of your mat is fine. Your hands can be on the floor or on your blocks. This time you're going to bend your knees and you're going to come into a squat. And I don't care if your knees are close together or wide apart or how far down you come. You just squat a little bit. Roll your shoulders back. Take a breath or two. If you can come from the squat to seated, go for it. If you need to stand up and then come to seated in the way that works best for you, do that. Come all the way down. Put your feet in front of you. You're sitting about in the middle of your mat. You can move your blocks over to the side. You're going to lie all the way down to the floor. Slide the soles of your feet in so your knees are pointing straight up. Adjust your hips. I always have to kind of lift my hips and slide my tailbone down because I feel like my low back gets crunchy when I lie down. I don't want it to feel crunchy. I want it to feel relaxed. So do what you need to do. Hands come down by the sides. We're going to go into a bridge pose. Press your heels to the floor. Tuck your belly button to the floor and then lift your hips up. And then all you're going to do here is imagine that you are squeezing your heels towards your butt. Just like you're trying to slide them up and touch your shoulders. And hopefully what you feel is a lot of action at the back of your thighs. Just enjoy that. It should feel pretty intense. We're going to take 3 more breaths. Keep imaginarily sliding the heels up towards the shoulders. And you'll really feel this. You can even kind of grip your toes down a little bit. And you feel like, oh my gosh, my legs are working so hard in this position and I'm not really even doing anything. All right. Inhale here. Exhale, drop your hips down. Draw your right knee to your chest. Turn the sole of your right foot up. We're going to go for a little happy baby. You can hold the outside of the foot, ankle, calf, or thigh, and draw the right knee towards the right armpit. Feel free to extend your left leg long if you prefer. And then just move around a little bit. Stretch it out. Okay. Then from here, you're going to go back into that, forgetting the name of this pose, bridge pose. So you're going to drop your feet to the floor. Adjust your hips. Hands come down by the sides. Press your heels down. Pull your belly down. Lift your hips. Squeeze your heels towards you. You can stay right here and just do the squeezing of the heels. That might feel like plenty today. If you want to go a little further, you're going to lift your left heel away from the floor, keeping, again, that right hip into the center line, just like we did in the standing balance. So you're not out to the side. You're tucked in. And you'll really feel your right heel is drawing towards you. If you have both feet down, both heels are drawing towards you. Maybe your left heel is lifted. Maybe you even lift your left foot and you can kind of go for a 45, or you could balance this leg out in front of you. You feel really frisky, but keep drawing the right heel towards the butt. And we'll try for a few more breaths. You can even kind of move this one around. You can extend it straight up and get a little stretch at the back of the leg if you want. Keep drawing that right heel in. You're almost there. And then lower everything down. Draw both knees towards the chest. Rock a little bit. Hopefully your right thigh feels nice and tired. Now, you could roll to the side and push yourself up to seated and then to standing, or you could rock and roll a little forward and a little backwards. And then come either to seated or put the feet down and try to come all the way up to stand. From here, walk yourself to the back of your mat. We're going to do everything on the other side. So bring your blocks or your props with you. Find your feet. Move around a little bit. Make sure you're really aware of them underneath you. When you're aware of your feet, let your hands come down by your sides. Take a deep breath in, reach your arms up over your head, stretch your chest. You can even lean back a little here. And then exhale, draw your hands in front of your heart. Start to transfer your weight to your right side. Tuck your right hip in as you lift your left heel up. I'm going this whole thing. And we kind of went slow on the first side. So slow on this side. Really focus on drawing the hip in. It's so easy to let your hip come out to the side because it creates this counterbalance. But you want to work hard. You want to train your muscles to work in the most functional ways. You want to suck that hip in. And you feel much taller, and hopefully what you feel is also your back is a lot more comfortable when you do that. And then when you're ready, you work to lift that left leg up. And it might be enough just to find that balance or just to get the toes hovering off the floor. You might find that you're able to hold the thigh or not hold the thigh. You may even find that you can extend the leg. And you can even do it with no hands. And you'll really notice now you're working the front of the thigh, a nice little counterbalance for so much work in the back of the leg, and you're really working the core here. And you might find yourself quite wobbly. And then you lift up your chest and just as lightly and gracefully as you can, you go step forward. And you have the your left knee over your left ankle. You come into a little crescent lunge. You can drop your back heel down already if you want, but you just lift up. Relax your shoulders. And it's okay if it's kind of a weirdly length. I always feel like when I step forward, my length is a lot shorter, so my thigh is much less parallel to the floor. That's totally fine. We're just kind of getting a little stretch here. And then we're dropping the back heel to the earth. Straighten the front leg. If, like me, your hips again end up really far over, facing towards the right, so you're looking right instead of straight forward, adjust. Left foot can move left. Back heel can turn a little bit more to face forward so that you have the alignment where it's comfortable to face the front of the mat. You may like to grab your props. Set them down. Let's lift our arms up. Inhale. Pull your left hip back and begin to fold, drawing your hands to your hips. You can even use your left hand to actively bring that left hip back. Bend your knee, unless it feels really good to have your legs straight. For most of us, even just a tiny bend in the knee is really incredibly helpful. So that instead of focusing here, where we're locking everything together, and we're very much turned over to the right, you're focusing on left hip back, torso facing forward. And you'll get a much nicer stretch, hopefully, in the back of your leg, rather than a lot of tightness in your back. And again, the spine is straight. The shoulders are relaxed, regardless of how far forward you fold or how straight your leg is. It's almost like you're squaring your hips. You can go lower if you need to feel that stretch. Let's take another breath. And then bend the right knee. Lift that back heel up. No, excuse me, bend the left knee. Lift the right heel up. So you're back in that kind of lunge position. You might walk your hands or your props on, your hands on props a little in front of you. And then you're going to step your right foot a comfortable distance from your left foot. Bend your knees and you're coming right into that Utkatasana. And you want to, again, it's like you're trying to sit down in a chair, but the chair isn't there. And you're just like, oh, okay, I have to keep sitting deeper, but there's no chair, there's no chair, there's no chair. Press into your heels and find that work. You're taking your knees back here as well. I didn't mention on the first side, but you're not like this. The chair is back behind you and you're trying to reach it. It's like, you know, in really terrible, jokey things, videos from the 1970s where the joke is that they pull a chair out from under someone as they sit down. That's what's happening to you. You're like, oh, I'm going to sit down and there's no chair and I have to sit back and down. Only you're so strong that you don't fall over because your muscles catch you. And you are saved from the terrible embarrassment of someone pulling a chair out from under you. Feel free to add your arms into this if you want to. You may feel a little bit in your lower back. As long as it's just a little bit of work and no pain, that's fine. If it's too much, please support your hands on your thighs or on your blocks. And we are staying here for a little bit. And remember, it's not dainty. It's not demure. It's big. It's strong. It's like a semi-truck, not a Aston Martin. You should feel some heat. Let's take 2 more breaths. Go to that forward fold. So as you're ready, you can just start to straighten your legs a little bit. And maybe that's all you need to do. You just shrug your shoulders back and you reach the crown of your head forward and like, oh, that's lovely and releasey. Maybe you need to fold a little more forward. And again, your knees can be quite bent here or straight here. It's totally up to you what feels good to you. And not just what feels good in your legs. Be mindful of your lower back here too. If you straighten your legs and all you get is kind of crampy here in your lower back, just try a little bend in your knees. It can be so much nicer. And you might even start to feel that you get this lovely stretch into the back and outer hips as you put a little softness into your knees. Let's take another breath here. Maybe nod the head, shake it. And then lift up halfway. Inhale. As you exhale, come to your squat. And it can be, I call this the owl squat. but it's a version of a Rishi's pose where you have your knees kind of close together and you're up on your heels. You could also be sitting down here like this, or you could be in a nice wide squat quite high up here as well. You just come to where you come. You take a couple breaths, maybe you move a little side to side just for fun. And then you bring yourself to seated in the way that works best for your body. We're coming back into our, I want to call this table pose, but it is not table pose, it is bridge pose. We're coming back to our bridge pose. Lie yourself down. Slide the soles of your feet in. We're going to start by just doing that bridge where we draw the heels in. So bring the hands down, heels press down, belly sucks in, lift the hips. Draw the heels in towards you. You're trying to slide them up and touch your shoulders, and you just feel your legs working so hard just with that tiny little adjustment, and it's almost mental rather than physical. You don't actually really move other than that your muscles are working much harder. They're all kind of holding in. It's almost like your muscles have gone from, oh yeah, we're just hanging out, we're so easy, and then they're lifted. Everything has drawn in towards the bone, and you feel, if not strong and powerful right now, that you are building strength and power for the future. Take another breath. And release. Draw the left knee to the chest. We'll go to that little half happy baby just to create some release. Holding wherever you like, on the foot or the leg. Feel free to extend the right leg if you want to. And then we're going to go back and we're going to do our potential heel lift on the right side. So set yourself up, adjust your hips, hands on the floor. Press your heels down, bring your belly button towards the floor, lift your hips, bridge pose. You may stay in the same variation, just drawing the heels towards the shoulders, so towards the top of the mat. You may decide to go for that burn on the left side by lifting the right heel up. Keep drawing the left heel towards the buttock, and you'll feel like your thigh and your hamstring have just become like rock solid comparative to their normal state in bridge pose when they're already working pretty hard. Maybe you even want to float this foot. You can just float it a couple inches. You can go for a 90-90 straight leg, or if you really want to challenge yourself, you could try and parallel your thighs here as you extend. Tuck your left hip into the midline. So again, it's not out to the side, it's lifted, it's super strong. Keep drawing that left heel in. We'll try for 2 more breaths. Stop when you need to. This is shockingly hard work. And when you're ready, release. Draw both of your knees to your chest. Turn both of the feet to the sky, holding insides, outsides of feet, or anywhere on the legs for a full happy baby. From here, we're going to go to pigeon pose. And because you're on your back, you might decide that a reclined pigeon pose is perfect, or that might be your preferred variation in any case. We're going to start on the left side just because we just worked the left side so it can really stretch out. So you'd cross your left ankle over the top of your right knee, and you can draw your right knee in towards you or drop your right foot to the floor. And you can take this variation, maybe playing with how close your left ankle is to the groin or moving side to side. If you prefer a forward-facing pigeon, you can simply rock yourself forward, move yourself around. You're going to tuck your left leg underneath you as you slide your right leg back. If you feel like you need to come from a table or a dog, please do. I just kind of lift myself up, tuck my left knee behind my left hand, right thigh slides back, and you can fold forward here, or you can just come to the pinwheel shape of sitting on the outside of your left leg and folding forward. You want to feel the stretch of your outer left hip, your left glutes. Enjoy for a few moments. you're going to switch sides. If you're lying on your back, it'll be really easy. You can just extend your legs up and cross your right ankle over the top of the left knee. Left knee can come towards you or be on the floor. If you're facing forward, you'll extend your left leg behind you and take your right knee behind your right hand, either sitting on the outside of the right hip or facing forward, your choice. I'm finding I like the reclined variation quite a lot today. And you just enjoy the stretch. Excuse me. When you're ready, you're going to release. If you are lying on your back, all you need to do is uncross your legs. You might like to extend your legs up towards the ceiling and just wiggle them out, shake them. If you are facing forward, you're going to come out of your pigeon pose and you're going to come back onto your back and you're going to meet us here in this dead bug type pose. Extend your legs up to the sky. Maybe extend your arms up to the sky and kind of just wiggle like a bug. I didn't mention this at the beginning of class, but you could use a strap for this next thing. So if you want to grab a strap, we're going to stretch the back of our legs by holding on either to the legs or the foot or the strap. You can grab a strap and come back and join us. All we're going to do is drop the right foot to the floor, hold the back of the left leg or foot, or loop the strap over the ball of the foot and hold on, and just draw that leg towards us until we feel a stretch. You can extend the right leg all the way long if you want. That feels nice. Maybe rotate your ankle a little bit. If you have the strap there, it's kind of hard to rotate the ankle without losing it. So you could just flex and point too. Sometimes that feels really nice. Or just pronate and supinate, turn the foot side to side. And if you like, you can, on an exhale, lift the back of the head from the mat, bringing the nose and the knee really nice and close together. Hold for a breath as you relax your shoulders. Press your belly button towards the floor. And then lower back down. Let's take another deep breath. And we'll take this into a twist. You can keep your left leg straight or you can bend your left knee. If you have the strap, it's a little easier to keep it straight. But you're just going to cross that left leg over to the right. I like to hold on with my right hand. I like the outside of my foot. Some people like the inside or peace sign fingers. You can also just free float or bend the knee. And you come into that twist. See if you can let your left shoulder relax towards the floor. It's totally fine if your leg is not able to maintain straightness. Did I say that right? As you come over to the side, this is a nice, again, hip stretch and can target some stuff that's kind of stuck in there. Maybe you even want to look to the left. When you're ready, come back to the center line. Fold that left knee in towards the chest and just give it a nice hug. You might need to bend your right knee. That's totally fine. Maybe rock a little side to side. And we'll switch over to the other side. So the left foot drops down. And the right foot comes in. You extend the right leg up and you catch on. You can use your strap if you want to, or just hold the leg. You can extend your bottom leg long if you like. And you just feel the stretch at the back of the thigh. And you think, nice after all of that weird work that we did today into our hamstrings and our hips. It's nice to just stretch on the floor. Maybe you want to add some stretch to your ankle, rolling it around, or flexing, or moving side to side. If you'd like, you can on the exhale lift the back of the head again from the mat, nose and knee close together. As you hold here, press your belly button to the floor, but relax your shoulders. And then gently on the next breath, lower down. Holding here for a few more breaths, really enjoying the stretch. So it shouldn't be that you are really stressfully and strainfully pulling the leg towards you. You're pulling it until you feel the stretch, and then you're kind of just oozing a little deeper if you have the space available. Trying to force your body to be flexible is not going to work, because all it does is just resist you and rebound back into its tight patterns. You kind of have to nudge it in the direction of flexibility ever so gently until your body realizes, oh yeah, it's way better to have flexibility than to always be tight. It's so much more comfortable here in the flexible zone. When you're ready, you can go into that twist. I think I'm going to run out of space, so my foot will maybe hit the wall here. So I would scoot over just because I want to have my legs straight. And I can hold my foot, but I could also just bend my knee if I wanted to. Anyone on your right shoulder, it's okay if your right shoulder lifts away from the floor. Mine almost always wants to do so. You're just letting it relax back in that direction. You're enjoying the hip stretch, whether the leg is straight or bent, or you're holding it or you're not holding it. It can be free floating here over to the side if you want. Maybe you look to the right. Let's take another deep breath. And then come back to the center line. Hug the right knee into the chest. And again, just really hug it. Like actually give it a big hug. You can even come up and lift your head if you want to, or draw this foot in. But you want to be pressing your thigh against yourself if possible, or coming as close in as your flexibility allows. From there, you can release the soles of your feet to the floor. Stretch your legs out long. Reach your arms up over your head. I'm just going to go for a really small side stretch. So take a deep breath here. Reach your fingertips up and your toes down. Point your toes. Inhale. Exhale to relax. Same thing, only now you're only going to point your right toes and you reach your right fingertips, and you're going to relax your left side. Inhale. Exhale, relax both sides. Inhale, reach the left side. Toes long, fingertips long, relax the right side. Exhale, relax both sides. Twice more to each side. Inhale, stretch the right. Exhale, relax. Inhale, stretch the left. Exhale, relax. One more to the right. And one more to the left. Let your elbows slide down. And you may find that, you're just perfectly ready for Shavasana here. You just relax. If you need to do anything else, roll around, wiggle, add some props, please do not hesitate to do so. If you are partial to legs up the wall, this would be a great time to do a legs up the wall. Bringing your buns against the wall and sliding your legs up. Feel free to put a prop. I just happen to have a bolster handy here underneath your legs, and it's totally fine if your legs are quite at an angle, or if you're really snuggle up against your wall and the legs are almost parallel to it. It's totally up to you. You can also do this with the knees bent, and chair seat, bed, couch seat underneath the legs. If you don't have a wall handy and you want to have your legs up, you just do a bent knee variation. really take any Shavasana, the legs up the wall. It's just because we did a lot of leg work today, and it can be nice to reverse some of that blood flow and relax the legs after that. So when you find the position that feels good for you, take a deep breath in. Sigh it out as you relax your face. As your face relaxes, feel the rest of your body relaxing as well. Your shoulders, your arms, your belly, your legs. Totally let go. We did lots of holding things with our muscles today. And now is the chance for them to do what I was telling them not to do earlier. They were working really hard. Now they're allowed to just hang out. Easy. Relaxed. Remember that both states, the active and the passive, the strength and the flexibility, the heat building and the cooling down are equally important. You want to have well-rounded muscles and tissues that can do it all. As usual, please stay a little longer if you have the time. It's so beneficial to spend time in this relaxed state. When it is time to return to your day, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Whether you're in legs up the wall or lying on the floor, if you'd like, draw your knees in towards your chest. As you're ready, rock yourself all the way over to one side to rest for a few breaths. For making your way to your most comfortable seat today. Feel free, as at the beginning, to sit up onto a prop. Let your hands come in front of your heart. We'll close with our deep breath together, in through the nose, out through the mouth, on 3. 1, 2, 3.